So, and I think we can start. We'll start by reviewing the assignment, and it will just be quick. Just a matter of reviewing. It was not a very challenging assignment. Everybody was above average. So let's start with question 1. So sort the data in the newest to the oldest order of date listed and copy paste your answer below. So this was simple. Just using we are just sorting our data from the newest to the oldest, and we wanted to sort our date listed. So we just click on that column, go to our sort and filter. It is in our home tab to extreme right, and just click newest to oldest, and our data updates. So copying, will just say Control A and then Control plus C. Come here. Sorry, we want to select all of our data, so Control A and then Control plus C. Then to paste our data, Control plus V. So there was a question by Enoch was saying that he's seeing these hashtags. This is because your data is not filling the column well, and to sort that issue out, what you do is what you should do is, in your home tab, go to this section called cells. There's this button here called format, so click on it. Scroll down, there's this option auto fit column width, so just click on it and our data fills our columns well. Is that okay, Enoch? Is that okay? I hope so. So to do that, I've said our home tab. Okay. Our home tab, to our cells section here, click on format and then click on this auto fit column width. Question 2. Find the agents with a house in the North County area having 2 bedrooms and a single family type, and you have to type your answers in the headers below. So it was just filtering. So click anywhere in our data, in our home tab, extreme right, there's this sort and filter. Then hit on that filter button to make these drop downs appear. So the first condition was to find the agents in the North County. So click on this drop down here and unselect North County and say okay. Another condition was having 2 bedrooms. So go to this bedrooms column, click on that drop down and select select 2 bedroom and say okay, and we have our answer. So the single type family is autofill here, and now our answer was Radolph, North County, having 2 bedroom and single, and you are to return your answers in those headers that I placed there. Question 3. If you have a question, you can unmute your mic and ask. Question 3. So display all the houses whose list price was between 300,000 and 400,000, and also copy paste your answers below. So
can you please repeat?
Which question?
My Wi-Fi was down.
Which question?
I've actually had none.
The class is being recorded. We'll just review the question 1 and question 2. So we'll just proceed to question 3. The other one will catch up the video. I'll be sending it. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay. So just pay attention to what I'm doing here. So display of the houses whose list was between 300,000 to 400,000, and copy paste your answers below. So basically that was about filtering, and to do that I said click anywhere in your data. In your home tab to extreme right, there's this sort and filter. Click on filter, and then these drop downs will appear. We're being told to display all the houses whose list price was between 300,000 to 400,000. So we are filtering our list price here. So click on this drop down, go to our number filters, and then scroll down to between. Click on it, and you're being told between 300,000 to 400,000, and just say okay. And our data is updated. To copy, I've said Control A to select all of our data. Control A to select all of our data, and then Control plus C to copy. Control plus V to paste. To prevent having these hashtags on our home tab, to extreme right. Is there a question? Michael? Michael, please unmute your mic. Make sure it's unmuted. It's muted, sorry. So to remove these hashtags, I have said on our home tab, we go to this styles, this cells section, to our format button here, and auto fit column width, and our data has filled our column well. So question 4. So question 4 was one of the most poorly done, and the question was find the sales person who have generated revenue greater than $10,000. I wanted people to use conditional formatting to highlight the values that are greater than 10,000. So we'll select our data. So January to June, we select all of our data there. Hit on conditional formatting. On highlight cell rules, we go to greater than. So we clear that and just say $10,000. So here you can select the color you want to fill with. So just select green and say okay. And that was our answer. I wanted you to use conditional formatting. There were some people who got this question right, but majority did not get it. So I hope you have seen. We are just using the conditional formatting to highlight that. So question 5. Format cell rules using 3 color scales. And there was a warning, do not include the sales column, because if you included the sales column, we'll select all the sales persons, but I did not want that. So the solution was to select our data here from January to June. Go to conditional formatting. Here on here on new rules, click on that. So there's this option here, format all cells based on their values. Format style, there's 2 color scales. The instruction was to use 3 color scales. So you click on 3 color scales. The color, you could choose the color that you want and just say okay. And now we have formatted the cells using 3 color scales. So there is this red here, there is green, and there is a shade of yellowish there. So that was all about 3 color scales. Is there a question up to there before I proceed to question 6? Sorry, a question? So I'll just continue. Question 6. Using the sum if function, find the total units that were sold in the East region. So majority of you were able to do this question. So I was impressed by your research skills. So we are using the sum if function to find the total units that were sold in the East region. So first thing first, add an is equal sign when typing a formula, or rather a function. So sum if, click on it. So the range was the region, so we just highlight the region here. We highlight the region. Our criteria, we want to return the East region, so comma, open the quotation marks and write East, then insert another comma. And what is our sum range? We want to return the total units, so it is this cell here, so we'll drag it to select the range there, and make sure you close the formula down using a parenthesis and hit enter, and the correct answer was 691. Is there a question on that solution I've given? So I'll just proceed. Hope you're observing how I'm doing. So our next question was using the sum if function, what was the total revenue from the binder? So this question is not any different from the previous one. So we'll just type in is equals and say sum if. Say sum if. Our range is the item here. The item. So we select that range there. What do we want to return? We want to return the binder. So say comma, opening the parenthesis. Then we say binder. Then another comma. What is our sum range? We want to return the total revenue. So we come here on this revenue column and then select the range again, that way, and then make sure you have closed the formula down using a parenthesis and hit enter, and our answer was 9577.67. The next question was using the sum ifs function, what is the total revenue generated from central region where the item is a pencil? So this required us to use the sum ifs again, an is equal sign, and type the function which is sum ifs. Our sum range is our revenue. So click on this range, drag it down, select the data there. Then place a comma. Our next criteria, our next parameter is the criteria range, which is our region. So select our region here, drag it down, select everything, then comma. What region do you did we want us to return? Was central. So open your quotation marks and say central. Place another comma, and final criteria is the item. So select that range once again. And what do you want to return? You want to return the pencil. So open the quotation marks and say pencil, and make sure you have closed down our function and say enter, and our answer was 1540.32. So is there a question up to there? A question? So let's continue to the next question. So using the sum if function, how many units did Jones sell excluding the pencil? So again, to start our formula is equal sign, and type our sum ifs function, So what do we want to our sum range to be? Our sum range is this units, so we drag our range down to select the range. Again, place a comma, and so we want to return Jones, so we'll go here to our rep column, select that range, again comma, so we want to return Jones. After the comma, open the parenthesis, and we type Jones, comma, we want to exclude the item, so again select the item, the range downwards, another comma, and now this is where a lot of the students had problems. So we open our quotation marks when we want to say exclude in Excel. This is the sign of exclude. We use this greater than, and we use that less than and greater than symbols to say exclude, and we want to return our pencil. So make sure we close down that formula and say okay, and our answer was 266. Is there a question? The place where a lot of us we failed is this symbol here, this greater than or less than, to symbolize excluding. That's where most of us failed on that question. So the next question is, use the COUNTIFs formula to return the number of binders owned by Jardine. So again, type an is equals when starting our function, and now we want to use our count. If. So what is our range? We want to return the item, so we select that range, then we say comma. What do we want to return? We want to return a binder, so open the quotation marks and write binder, again another comma. So the number of binders owned by Jardine, so we have to select the range of the rep column. Is there a question?
Sorry, but the formula should be COUNTIFs. We should be using the COUNTIFs formula.
Oh, thank you for the correction. You're supposed to use the COUNTIFs, so we'll just add an extra S there. Thank you for that. So returning to our question, we wanted to return the number of binders owned by Jardine, so we select the range of this rep column, so we select down, so we put another comma, open the parenthesis and write Jardine, and then we close the formula down and say okay, and our answer was 2. The answer was 2. Is there a question up to there? So let's continue. So when you the last 2 questions, everybody got it. So I don't see me reviewing that. Everyone got these last 2 questions here. The next question 7. Using HLOOKUP, find the district and region highlighted below, and use any row index of your liking. Also update the any errors in the main table. So first thing first, we want to update these errors so that it can communicate. To do that, we said we use if NA, and we open the parenthesis there. Our first parameter is our VLOOKUP function, write a comma, and what do you want to return? We want it to say unknown district, and close down the formula and say okay, and you have updated that. Is there a question up to there? So the next NA error is just the same. We use the if NA, open the parenthesis. Our first parameter is our VLOOKUP function, write a comma, and the message we want to return for the error is unknown region, we close down the formula and it updates. So next we want to use our HLOOKUP to return the district and the region. So to use a formula or a function, we start by an is equal sign and write HLOOKUP. So our first parameter is our lookup value, and that will be our district here. So click on that, write a comma. Next parameter is our table array. So our table array is here in the lookup table, and this time we'll select even the headers. Our next parameter is the row index. The row index, while using our HLOOKUP, we start here. Everyone please observe my cursor. When we start to count the row index, we are starting with our headers. Somebody to mute their mic. So when we are counting our row index, we include even the headers. So our header here is our row index 1. The next one here is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll just retype the formula again. So it's lookup. You said our lookup values are district here, comma. Our table array is this table here, including our headers. Place another comma. Our row index, I instructed you to use the row index of your liking, so you can use any. So for me, I'll say 3. Our range lookup will say false. Make sure you have closed down our formula and say okay, and it returns D1. Similarly, we can do exactly the same to our region here. So HLOOKUP, open the parenthesis. Our lookup value is this region here. Click on it, say comma. Our table array, select everything including our headers, comma. Our row index, again I'll say 3. You can use any of your liking. Our range lookup, we say false to return an exact match. So we close our formula down and say okay, and we find our value, which is north. So is there a question up to there before we proceed to our last question? Is there a question? You can unmute. So our last question was, using the data below, create an Excel table and display players less than 25 years. So creating our Excel table, so click anywhere in your data and then Control plus A to select all the data, and then Control plus T to turn it to a Excel table. Say okay, and now we have turned our data to an Excel table. Our last step is to display players less than 25 years. When I say display, I always mean filter. So click on the edge, on our edge column here, click on this drop down, go to our numbers filter, and you want to return players less than 25 years. So click on this less than and just write 25 and say okay, and we have our answer. So the assignment was not that difficult. There was 100, there was somebody who actually got everything, and there were a couple of 95s and 90s. So that was all about our week 1 assignment. Is there a question? A question before we start on today's content? You can unmute your mic and ask a question. Peter? Peter, you have a question? You can unmute. So I hope everyone has their dynamic arrays data displayed on their Excel sheet, as I have done. And today I want us to discuss about dynamic arrays. So dynamic arrays formulas allows us to reference multiple values of data at once. So this is a very powerful capability, as we can summarize and analyze our data more quicker than traditional Excel functions. So to start, we are going to start with the formulas. So everyone, make sure that you are in the formulas sheet. Make sure you are in the formulas sheet. Oh, Peter. Peter is surprised that somebody got everything. Yes, somebody got everything. So make sure you are in your formulas sheet so that you can start. So for example, we'll use this small table here named as our source data. It has a GL account column, a date column, and a GL amount. So so let's start filling some data under this tax column here. So what I want to do is multiply the GL amount here with a tax rate, say 5%. And to do that, so that is just simple. To do that, just press an is equal sign, and we want to reference our cell C3 here. So say cell C3, and you want to multiply with a tax rate of 5%, and that will be 0.05, and press is equals, and we get our value there. Has everybody done that? Hope everyone has done that. We want to multiply our GL amount here, that is cell C3, by a tax rate of 5%, and we get a value that is $192. So but we can also accomplish this value here by using a dynamic array formula. So how do we do this? So just delete the result that you have gotten there. Just press Ctrl Z. on your keyboard to delete that. And now I want to use a dynamic array formula. So I'll press an is equal sign there. So to use that dynamic array formula, just type cell C3, place a colon, and then say cell C12. We are basically selecting the values, the range of values in this column named GL amount. And then finally we multiply that with our tax rate, which I said is 0.05, and then hit enter, and we see that our values are populated down automatically. Has everyone done that? Has everyone done that? So we just type, I'll just repeat. To do this, we type, we reference our cell C3, a colon to C12, and then multiply with a tax rate of 0.05. A question, class? A question up to that point? Has everyone done that? So I'm using this formula here. You see that our values have been copied down automatically without us dragging down the formula. Our next example, we can also reference multiple arrays within our formula. So in this, our next column here, in this column here named net amount, I want to calculate the net amount by subtracting the GL amount from this tax column here. Are we together, class? Alvin, unmute your mic and ask a question. Enoch, are we together up to there? Priska?
Yes, we are together.
Yes, we are together.
Alvin, you are saying yours is not showing.
Yeah,
Unmute your
mine
mic.
isn't showing.
Yeah,
It's just showing the $192.
So I want you to, have you used the dynamic array formula I have just shown?
Yes, I have.
So I'll repeat, write is equals, and then type reference our first cell, which is cell C3, and then write cell C12 to highlight our whole column here, and then multiply by 0.05, which is our tax rate. Have you done that, Alvin? And then press enter, and your formula, the dynamic array formula, will populate down automatically without you needing to drag it down. Just use the steps. Are you okay now?
Actually, I've done exactly as you've said, but unfortunately, it has not been able to populate down as yours has done.
So if yours has been able to populate automatically, you can comment on our in messages. If yours has successfully populated, you can comment on the in messages. So for Priska is successful, Said Situma is successful. So Alvin, you have to check the formula again. So press an is equal sign, cell C2, and then those colons, and then type cell C12, multiply by 0.05. So Alvin will still be using that. I want you to be keen in our next example here, where we want to calculate our net amount. by subtracting our tax from the GL amount, and I'll just type our formula there. Type an is equal sign. Then again we want to reference our GL amount column there. So say cell C3 to cell C12, and we want to subtract our tax range here. Says equals, and our formula has updated. Has everyone done that? I will repeat, just undo everything. Press an is equal sign and say cell C3. Place a colon there and say cell C12 to select the range of the GL amount there. Then you want to subtract the tax. So to do that, we want to select this cell here, place a semicolon, and we want to go down up to cell 12 is equals, and we have our net amount. A question, Alvin, has yours been able to do that again? Is yours successful, Alvin? If yours is not successful, unmute your mic and ask a question. And if yours is successful, comment on the in-call messages. So I'll just repeat again. Type an is equal sign. Okay, a question?
Yes, Daniel.
Okay,
Good
ask your
evening.
question. Good evening.
Yes, I have a problem with populating. I asked this question on the first day, and I didn't get assistance. May I share my screen so that you can just help me, so that we can go move forward together?
Share.
Thank you.
If yours has successfully populated down, you can comment.
Are you seeing my screen?
Yeah, but yes, I can see your screen, but you are on your emails. Go to your Excel sheet.
Excel sheet. Is it visible?
On my side, no.
Let me cancel and then I reshare again.
So if yours is successful, you can type. Emmanuel, is yours successful? Stella? Enoch?
I'm currently also having some challenges with populating it down.
Okay.
Is it visible?
On my end, is not visible.
Is it visible right now?
Yes, it is visible.
Yes, so I have a problem here. You see, after calculating the formula, after typing the formula is correct. But when I want to populate, if I put this the cursor here, it should bring that plus. Mine is not breaking, so I can bring in. So I cannot populate it downward. Is there a way to help me?
Can you double click on that? Place your cursor on your tax column.
Tax column.
And double click on that box there on the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see?
Double click. Escape. Press escape on your keyboard. or rather drag that cell down.
You see, for drag, there is nothing that comes.
Which version of Excel are you using?
This is 2019.
There must be a problem with yours. So to drag, you just hold on. You see on the edge there?
Yes.
Just drag it down. It will drag your formula down.
But this one is not doing so.
So there seems to be an issue with yours.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Stop sharing.
Let me stop sharing.
So I'll just repeat the formula again so that everyone can see. There are some people who are saying theirs is successful. Victor, you can mute your mic. Is everyone seeing my screen? So I'll continue. To calculate the net amount, we want to subtract our tax from our GL amount. So to do that, highlight that cell C3, place a colon there, and then cell C12 to select our range, and then we subtract our tax here. So cell E3 to cell E12 and say equals, and our formula populates downwards. So there are some instructions there. So if yours is not populating down, you can just check on your settings. You can check on your settings. You can just check on your settings and we can proceed. So so is there a question before we proceed? A question?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, Priska.
Okay. I have done the formula the exact way you have said, and I have double clicked and gotten the answers, but my values are not as the same as yours.
So you just check on the range and the tax rate that you have used, just the values. Check if you have a typo somewhere. That can be the difference between what you are seeing on my screen and yours. But if you are able to, if your formula has been able to populate downwards, you're on the right track. Okay, Priska?
Yeah, I'm okay. I was just concerned about the outcomes because the tax column it's the same as yours, but the net amount it's not the same. The only the same the first column on the first cell. The rest are not as the same as yours.
Yes, just check on the values in your formula, especially the tax rate. Okay, but if you have gotten some value, you're on the right track.
Okay.
Okay. So another question, class. Hubert, there is no problem if you have used 5% instead of 0.05. There's no difference. Yours is as a percentage, mine is as a decimal. There's no difference.
But I think the values are different.
Pardon?
I think the values are different.
What are you getting?
If I use 5%, if I use 5% instead of 0.05, the first time I tried, I think I got I don't remember, but the values were different, but in a small range.
Okay, that might be due to BODMAS or the arithmetic function that you are trying to use, the mathematical concept. So you can try by, say, putting some parentheses in your formula and check if it will correct. Okay, Hubert? Hubert, you will do that on your free time.
Yes, okay.
You will do that on your free time,
Okay.
so that you can just proceed. So an advantage of using a dynamic array formula is their flexibility, and we can not only create new arrays from columns and vertical arrays, but also horizontal arrays as well. So if you wanted to multiply each amounts here, we're on our next example. If you wanted to multiply our amounts here by our tax rate, we can achieve that using only one formula, and it will fill down on our table. So to do that, I want everyone, we type this formula together. So we want to multiply our amount. So click on that cell and just drag down. After doing that, multiply. We add the multiplication symbol, and then so we select the range on the amount column here, and we want to multiply. Add the multiplication sign. We want to multiply with our tax rate here, which is on so that is our range. We multiply it with our range, our tax rate, which is on range I3 to K3. So everyone to type that. So if I press enter, my formula populates down automatically on all directions. So I'll repeat that. Control Z. So I want to multiply my amount here and our tax rate, which is horizontal, and our amount here, which is vertical. So to do that, select on that range and multiply with our tax rate, which is on cell I3 semicolon, not semicolon, colon, to K3. Press enter, and we have values on our small table there. A question? I will repeat again for Eugene Pro. We want to multiply our amount here, which is a vertical, and we want to multiply with our tax rate, which are being displayed horizontally. To do that, start with an is equal sign, select the range there, insert the multiplication symbol, and our tax rate is on the range I3 to K3. Press enter, and our formula has populated automatically. Is there a question? Eugene, I hope you're okay. Is there a question before I continue? So let's continue. So we can recreate.
Hello, Daniel.
Hello.
Yes, I beg your pardon. May you repeat the formula again once more?
Okay, just do that. Just undo everything. So to type a formula, start by is equals. We want to select this range of the amount here. So, and then multiply with our tax range, which is on cell I3. Then we input that colon to K3. Once you have done that, press enter, and our values have populated. Is that okay, Victor? Eric, ask a question.
Mine is not working.
It is not populating automatically.
Yes.
Yeah, so it might be an issue with your settings. So we'll just look at it later. Okay, Eric?
Yes.
Wisdom?
Okay. After inputting the formula,
Mm-hmm.
the table is only returning values of the 250 and 575 alone. The others are hashtags. When I go to the format and
okay, just you see here, look at my screen and just try expanding your columns so that the values can fit on your cells. Okay, Wisdom?
Okay.
Yes, try expanding your columns manually. Stella, unmute your mic and ask question. Nimesaidika. Okay. So so let's proceed.
Question.
Okay. Ask.
When I drag it manually downwards, it is bringing very huge numbers.
What are you trying to drag? Your formula.
The 250, yeah. The 250 in the first column.
Oh. Try and absolute reference your cells so that it might bring the correct values. So you know how to absolute reference to lock your cells. Yes, if you are dragging down, make sure you have locked your cells so that you can get the correct values. Peter, oh yes, it's just a comment. Eric?
Excuse mine, they are at 300.
Yeah.
It is bringing 1.5 million.
Yes, I have said as yours populated automatically or you are dragging. Make sure we learned about locking our cells. Make sure you have locked your cells so that you can have the correct values. You remember that class? Yes. Another question? So let's proceed. So we can recreate what we have done above here using dynamic array function called a sequence function. Is there a question? Anybody asking a question? Side? Okay, he was not asking a question. Let's proceed. As I was saying, we can replicate what we have gotten here using a dynamic array function called a sequence function, and I will demonstrate. So below this header here, on this amount header, type is equals and say sequence. So our first parameter is the rows. How many rows do you want to return? We want to return 5 rows. So type 5, then comma. How many columns do we want to return? We only want 1 column. We type 1. So the next parameter is the start. What is our start value? We want our value to start from 5,000 as seen here on our above table. The next parameter is our step. And step, it means by how much or by what value does our 5,000 increase by, and I want our 5,000 to increase by 1,000. So our step is 1,000, and then close the parenthesis and hit enter. and our formula has populated down automatically. But now we have used a function called sequence. Has everyone done that? I will just repeat again. So type an is equal sign and then type sequence. And this sequence function, basically it creates an array based on the parameter of the function that we specify. So our first parameter is the rows. How many rows do we want to return? We want 5 rows. As seen on our data here, it has 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we want to replicate the same amount of rows. The next parameter is the columns. How many columns do we want to return? We only need 1. Place a comma. The next parameter is the start. What is our starting value? We want to start with 5,000. And then comma. How much do we want to increase our 5,000 by? We want to increase with 1,000. So we type 1,000 and close our formula down and press enter to populate. So somebody to unmute their mic to ask a question.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Yangu okay, ninaweka the exact same yenye umefanya but inaniletea hash name and then the question mark.
So try typing the sequence manually. Some of you are saying that your Excels don't have that function. Almost everybody. What version of Excel are you people using? You can just type on the in messages. 2016. So that might not be there. Has anyone been able to do it? Somebody who has been able to achieve the results?
Yes, I have done it.
Yes, Priska has done it. Yes, I think we'll have to update our Excels. But if yours is not doing, just follow. The class is being recorded. Once you fix your Excels, you can just repeat what we are doing. Okay, Stella?
Yeah, sure.
So like my Excel which I'm using the 2021 version. Mine I'm using the 2021 version, so it might be updated. So let's proceed. Again, I want to use the tax rate to return. I want to use the sequence function to return the tax rate. So again, I'll just use the sequence function. So those who are not able to do it, just follow what I'm doing. And for this, I want to return only one row. Our next parameter, which is columns, I want to return 3 columns. Our starting value, I want us to start with 0.05, and our step, I want us to use 0.05. Close the parenthesis and just say is equals, and we have populated our tax rate across. Are we together? For those who can be able to do it, are we together? For those who are following, hope you are together, and those who are typing. So once more, we can populate our data inside our small table here, and we will multiply our amount with the tax rate. So to do that, it is equals, highlight our range here. you see it is H14 hash. Again, multiply with our I13 hash, and then close the formula down. And I have a small typo here. So once I accept the correction, it gives me a value, and I'll just repeat it again because there was an interruption. So I want to multiply our amount with our tax rate. So select that cell and drag it down and multiply with these values here. Drag it down again and close the formula and hit enter. Just accept the correction and our formula has populated. Are we together, class? So for those who are not being able to use the sequence function, so please follow through, and once you have updated your Excel, you can use it. You can just review our class, which is being recorded, and just revise on it. So for those who are following, who are together, are we on the same page? Yes, thank you, Collins. So and that's how we have been able to replicate what we have had here. So somebody might ask what this hash sign represent on our formula bar up here. So that hash sign just represent, we want just to reference our whole dynamic array as a whole. That is the meaning of that hash sign. A question, class? A question? So let's move on to our next sheet, our functions sheet. Let's move to our next sheet so that we can look at dynamic array functions. So we have looked at the sequence function, so we'll just look at more functions here. And for example here, we want to return a new table that filters our source data here to return GL amounts greater than 3000. We want to use the filter function to return amount greater than 3000. So how will we do that? Just add an is equal sign, and we will use the filter function. So let's follow together, class. We'll use the filter function. So type the filter function here. So the array that we want to use is the entire source table. We'll just select the entire source table, then comma, and we want to filter our GL amount. So let's select this range, and we want to return values greater than 3000. And make sure we have closed our formula, and then hit enter, and our values have populated automatically. So are we together, class? I will just repeat for those who are still typing. So I'll input an is equal sign, and I will use the filter function. I'll use the filter function. The array that we want to use, our first parameter is the array. We want to use our whole source data, so we select our whole source data, then say comma, and we want to return the GL amount greater than 3000. So input 3000. Make sure you have closed your formula down and hit enter, and we have values in our table. Are we together? Has everyone done that? Enoch, you can unmute your mic and ask. I want you to use the filter function.
Okay, I'm asking if the filter function is the same as filter XML.
Have you tried using it? That filter XML?
No.
The filter function, I haven't come across that filter XML, but this filter function that you're using here just is just another way of filtering our table, but this time we're just using a function. Okay, Enoch?
Okay.
Enoch Pro, Eugene Pro, sorry. Ask your question. Or it was just a comment. Has everyone done that? So if you look, a question, Wisdom.
Okay, it's telling me when I press enter, it's telling me the function isn't valid. That function isn't valid.
So have you input it correctly?
Yes, I've repeated it twice.
Yeah, it may seem your Excel version does not have that filter function. So you can just follow, and once you get the correct version, you can use the filter function to filter your Excel table. Okay. So if you have done that, you can comment, and I'll just repeat it again for Mwema. So using this filter function, again, while using a function or a formula, always start with an is equal sign and type filter. So the array that we want to use is our whole table here. So we select our whole table, press comma, and we want to return GL amounts greater than 3000. So I'll just select the data in that column, and we want to return amounts greater than 3000. So let's close that formula down and say is equals, and we have our data populated. Is that okay, Mwema? Okay. Priska, have you done that?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. So when you look at our GL amount here and compare it with our GL amount on our source table, you see it has been filtered. Okay. So if I click anywhere on this table that we have returned here, and I try to delete any amount, click on any data that is not our cell source, and try to delete, it cannot be deleted. This is because the results of a dynamic array spills from our source cell. Try deleting the values from any cell here, and you can observe you cannot delete it, and that is because we can only delete results of a dynamic array from a source cell, and the source cell in our data here, it is this cell E3. Our cell E3 is our source cell, so place your cursor on that cell. So when I delete, everything deletes. Has everyone observed that? If I delete these values from our source cell, it deletes. If I try deleting it from another cell, it doesn't delete. And I have said this is because results of a dynamic array spills from a source cell, and our source cell in our case is cell E3. Are we together up to there, class? Are we together? If you have a question, you can unmute your mic. So if I enter data from any cell in our dynamic array, still on that table, say I want to enter some data here. Let's write a bounty Analytica. When I press enter, you see we have an error message here saying spill. When I click on that error, you see the range where our value should spill. Has everyone done that? Has everyone done that? So we get a spill error message, and when we click on it, we see a preview of where we want our data to populate. But this data that I've entered here, Bounty Analytica, is blocking our formula to spill beyond this cell. So when I delete this and again say enter, our data reappears. Are we together up to their class? Eric, are we together? Eric, are we together?
Yes.
Victor, Stella. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. So for our next example, we want to return the average GL amount for each of our GL accounts here on these headers here. So the first step that we want to do is return a list of all distinct GL accounts from our source table. This Excel table here on our extreme left. We want to return all distinct GL accounts from our source table. And to do that, we'll use another function called unique. So to type a function, add an is equal sign, and then type unique to return the distinct GL account numbers from our source table. So the array, the parameter array that we want to use, we want only to use this GL account column from our source table. Close our formula down and hit enter. And now we have distinct values. Are we together there, class? Are we together? And when I say distinct, it means we are leaving out the duplicates. We don't want to import the duplicates from our Excel table to our column here. So as you can observe, on this GL column here on our source data, it has some duplicates. We have 1,000, which is repeated I think twice. We have 2,000, which is also repeated twice. So if you want to return a list of unique values from this account minus those duplicates, we use the unique function. It will return distinct GL account numbers. Has everyone done that? Has everyone been able to use the unique function? Anyone with a difficulty? So let's proceed. Looking at this data that we have gotten, we want to sort it from our largest, from our smallest to our largest. So if I try using the method that we have been using, that we learned on our day one, clicking on any value on our column here, and then on our home tab to extreme right, we go to our sort and filter. If we try sorting from our smallest to largest, we are getting an error which says you can't change a part of an array. Has everyone gotten that? If you try sorting our data in that column in our traditional way that we learned on our first day, we get an error that says you can't change part of an array. So to solve this, what we can use is our sort function. There is a function called sort that can help us to sort our values. Are we together, class? So to use that sort function, we are going to wrap this formula that we used using our sort function. So just after the is equal sign, write sort, and then open the parenthesis and make sure we close that function. Hit enter, and now we have been able to sort our column from smallest to largest. Has everyone done that? I will repeat. We cannot use the method that we used from that we learned on our day one. And if I try to demonstrate it again, click on any cell in our column, go to our sort and filter. Sorting from smallest to largest, we are getting a warning display saying that you can't change a part of an array using that method. So the ideal method that you can use is using the sort function. And to do that, go here on our formula bar, and we want to wrap our unique function using the sort function. So we open the parenthesis and we close the parenthesis and then hit enter. And now we have been able to sort our data from smallest to largest. Are we together? Is there a question up to there? Is there a question? Collins, Kasola, a question? Priska? Alvin, do you have a question? So let's proceed. So now we want to find the average. So to find the average, the Excel function that we are going to use, we are going to use the average ifs function. The function that we are going to use is the average ifs function. So I'll click on it, and the first parameter that we are going to return is the average range. So class, I hope you are together. Are we on the same page? I have said that to return the average, we are going to use the average ifs function, and the first parameter that you are going to return is the average range. And the average, okay, ask your question, Priska.
Okay, I was requesting kindly click on the GL account where we were writing the sort.
There, let me zoom my screen so that you can see. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I'm indicating the same formula, but it is not giving me, it is giving me an error.
Have you closed your parentheses well?
Okay, no.
Yes, make sure, yes, always make sure you have closed your formulas or function when you type them, and I will always remind you to do that every time you are typing a function. Okay, Priska, are you together? Make sure you've opened the parentheses and you have closed the parentheses so that it can work. Okay, so where were we? We wanted to return the average, and to do that we are going to use the average ifs function, and the first parameter that you want to return is the average range. To do that, we are going to click on this column here, the GL amount on our Excel table. Has everyone done that? Comma, the criteria range that we want to use is this GL account. So drag it. Has everyone done that? Then a comma. So our last criteria that we want to to return is this GL account here, this GL account here on the side. So select it, drag it and select it. And again, Priska, to remind you again, make sure you have closed down your functions. Once you've done that, hit enter, and you have returned our averages. So I'll just repeat it again. If you have not gotten the concept, type an is equals and use the average ifs. You want to use the average ifs, and the first parameter is the average range. So we'll go back to our Excel table here and select this GL amount column. Just select the range, press comma. So our next parameter is the criteria range, and the criteria range that we are going to use the GL account. So select it and drag it, type a comma, and the final criteria that you are going to use is this GL account here on column I. So select the range and make sure you have closed down the function and hit enter, and we have the averages. And return the averages. So somebody is asking, I remind them the purpose of the hashtag. So the purpose of this hashtag is to allow us to reference the dynamic array as a whole. Is to reference the dynamic array as a whole. Is that clear, Alvin? Is there a question up to that point? A question? Has everyone been able to find the average? Has everyone been able to find the average? Wisdom, are you okay? Nathan? Enoch? Victor, are you okay? Okay, I think the silence. Okay, thank you. I think the silence means that we are okay. So that being that, we want to proceed to our last concept that we want to learn. We want to learn about the X lookup. So everybody turn to the next sheet that has been named lookup. Turn to the next sheet that has been named lookup. So last week we saw how we can look up data and how we can add additional information to our data by matching data from another table. So we looked at X lookup, and in our assignment we also came across H lookup, and now I want to introduce another lookup function called the X lookup, and this is the modern way of looking up data. So basically the X lookup is a flexible function as it allows us to look up and return values both vertical and horizontal way using the same function. So in summary, the X lookup is a combination of the H lookup, the horizontal lookup, and the V lookup, which is our vertical lookup. Are we together, class? The X lookup is a combination of the V lookup and the H lookup. So, and we want to demonstrate this. So the first thing that we want to do is to create an array of unique GL accounts. So below our GL accounts, we want once again to use the unique function. So type the unique function, and you want to return again the unique GL accounts. So click on that, hit enter. Again we have returned the unique GL accounts. Are we together up to their class? Just to remind you, again, the unique function returns distinct values. The unique function returns distinct values. So next, on our rate header there, we want to add some random values to our rate column. We want to return some random values on our rate column, and to do that we'll use a function called rand array. So type rand array. So let me zoom my screen so that everyone can see. So to return random values on our rate column, we'll use the rand array function. We'll use the rand array function. Has everyone seen the rand array function on the Excel? Has everyone been able to see the rand array? Ronnie, please check on your Excel version. If has everyone been able to see the rand array function? So if you have not seen it, just follow. If you have been able to see the rand array function, type on the messages, the in-call messages. Type on the in-call messages before we proceed. So the first parameter that we want to include on our rand array function is the count, and I want to count the number of rows in our GL account here. So I'll close that. So place another comma, and the columns that I want to return is only one column. The maximum, the minimum that I want to return is 0.1, and the maximum that I want to return is 0.9. Has everyone been able to type that? Has everyone been able to type that? And now press enter. So for those who are following, make sure to add a hashtag on this column here, or GL column, so that we can reference all of it. So hitting on it, our rate has populated downwards. Are we together, class? Has someone been able to do that? Has someone been able to do that? I'll just repeat. So to return random values, we'll use the rand array, and we want to return the count of the number of rows we have on our GL account, and to do that we'll use the count function nested inside our rand array, and select the range there. Make sure you have closed that formula. Press comma. The number of columns that I want to return is only one. Press comma. The minimum value that I want to return is 0.1, and the maximum value that I want to return is 0.9, and I'll hit enter, and I'll have some random values populated in our column down there. Are we together, class? So let's proceed. So next, what we want to do is create a horizontal array on our GL accounts here, and to do that I'll use the sequence function. To type a function, we'll include an is equals, and then proceed to type our function. So our first parameter is our row, I only want to return one row. The next parameter is the column. I want to return 4 columns. Our start value that I want to return is 1000, and I want to increase that value with 1000, and then I will close my function down and hit enter, and my values have populated. Are we together? Is there a question? Is there a question? So let's proceed. Now I want to put the rates in the row underneath here, and I want to look it up in our table here. This table I'm highlighting using our cursor. I want to return, or rather I want to look up the respective rates of these GL accounts, and to do that I'll now use our XLOOKUP function. For those who are saying that they cannot see the rand array function, can you try typing the XLOOKUP to see if the XLOOKUP exists in your Excels? Alvin, try and see if you can see the XLOOKUP in your Excel, if the XLOOKUP exists in your Excel versions. Somebody to confirm if they can see the XLOOKUP in the Excel versions. Somebody to confirm before we proceed. Still not there. Okay, but still follow up once you have updated your Excel. You will be able to follow up what you are trying to do here. So I'll open the parentheses for those who are following. So our lookup value that you want to use are these GL accounts here. So comma, press a comma. Our next parameter is our lookup array, and we want to use this GL account. So press another column, and our final parameter that we want to return is our return array, and we want to return the rates. So select the rates on that range, and make sure you have closed down your formula, hit enter, and you have returned the rates for respective GL accounts. So for those with the latest version of Excel, have you been able to do that? For those with the latest version of Excel, Priska, have you been able to do that?
Can you click on the formula?
Yeah. And let me just repeat the XLOOKUP. So to type it, start with a is equal sign, say XLOOKUP, say XLOOKUP, XLOOKUP. So the first parameter that you want to return, the lookup value are these GL accounts on top here, and then type a comma. The next parameter that we want to return, the lookup array, is the GL account here on our lookup table. Add a comma, and the return array that we want to return is the rate. So select all this and close the function and hit enter, and we have returned the respective rates for our accounts. Is that clear? Is that clear? Okay. So
question.
Yes, ask a question.
Your answers are varying when you repeat the formula. Change.
Yes, that is because of the rand. Remember the rand array. the rand array returns random values. So my values cannot be the same as yours because it's just returning random values. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So that was all about the X lookup. And just a reminder, the X lookup is the modern way of looking up values, and is a combination of VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. So that was all for today's class. So majority of you had some difficulties because of the version of Excel that you have, but please try to find the latest one so that we can be up to task, or we can be updated with the modern ways of doing things. So as data analysts, we are coming up, we'll always come across new functions. So make sure you have the latest version of Excel. So before I close down the class, a question. So I'll try finding you the latest version of Excel. I'll try looking for it and I'll post it on our WhatsApp group, so that those who have not been following can revisit our video here, so that they can get the concept that I try to instill today. A question or a comment before closing down the class?
I have a question.
Yes.
On the XLOOKUP formula.
Okay.
There's a part where, like in the H and the HLOOKUP and the VLOOKUP, has to write if it's false and true and stuff. Does the XLOOKUP have a similar trait?
No. So if I try to maybe input the formula again here on a separate cell here, you see the parameters that we are returning: the lookup value, the lookup array, and the return array. Okay, is that clear, Alvin? So it doesn't have that part of returning the exact or the approximate value. Is that clear, Alvin?
Okay, there's this part that you've just highlighted on the formula.
Okay.
The if not found, the match mode, the search mode. Kindly expand on those.
Okay, so when we put on that return array, if so, the formula will just check if it is found, or it will try to find a matching value. So if it finds a matching value, it returns. Okay, Victor. Sorry, Alvin. If you look at our answers here, so it has changed. Our answers here, you see these are 100. Sorry, 1,000. Its corresponding rate is 0.4263, and if we try to match it here, this 1,000, it matches with what we have gotten here. Is that clear? So when the XLOOKUP goes through our data, if it finds a match, it returns. Is that clear, Victor? So if it does not find a match, it will return an error, most probably an NA error. Clear, Alvin? Collins, Kasola Collins, unmute your mic and ask. Kasola? So I've read your comment. So let's go back to that sheet. And so Collins, So this returns the average of our GL amount here. It returns the average of our GL amounts here. Is that clear, Collins? Kasola?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Another question before we close today's class. So let's meet tomorrow exactly 6:20 so that we can tackle about pivot tables. We want to summarize data using pivot table, and we'll do that tomorrow. For those who are not following, I'll try to find the latest version of Excel, and I'll put it on our group, and you can revisit today's class so that you can be up to date with the modern way of using the lookup function, the XLOOKUP, and the sequence function. Is that okay? So let's meet tomorrow at 6:20 and have a good evening. So bye bye.